It's time for GrizzBeat, a full court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
Hey, everybody. Contrary to popular reports, that was not me on that poster out there. That is Jaren Jackson Jr. We will have much more on him as we continue today's edition of GrizzBeat. As always, we have an illustrious panel right here in our studios at Grind City Media, right next to the Grind House, FedEx Forum at 191 Beale Street. Joining us today and welcoming back, we got Paka Flocka Parker Fleming, who joins us. Of course, he's got his own podcast on Substack. Tell us, how do you get to Substack and a little bit about the podcast you do?
Yeah. So I have for one, Jarvis, thank you for having me on once again.
Sure.
But yeah, I have a Memphis Grizzlies Substack. It's called Substack Elitist after Grizzlies great Jake Sakalidis. But you know, it's just a place for me to talk ball, talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, and it's free. But if you choose to be a paid subscriber, either monthly or annually, it all goes to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in honor of my wife, Allie Allen Fleming. So it's season 2 of that. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope y'all tune in. I have a lot of stuff I want to cook up. So
I'm really glad to have you here, and it's a great thing that you're doing with that. Allie is one of the most beautiful ball-headed people I've ever seen. She wears it with pride, and you batted above your pay grade on that one.
I know. I don't know how I did it, but I did.
All right, and also joining us in studio, we have the one and only guru of Grind City Media himself, the great Michael Wallace, as my grandson would call him, and Michael Wallace. Wow, been a great week. We're already off and running with GrizzBeat. We got Paka Flocka in studio. What could be better?
Hey, absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to another great show. And it's just, you know, we're honored to have Parker here. And,
yes.
And Parker would tell you, or he probably won't tell you, but we've been trying to get him on GrizzBeat for several weeks, not just because he has tremendous insight and he does a lot of research. He's probably one of the most researched, reporters out there when it comes to analytics and what the Grizzlies are doing. But he's doing it for an awesome cause, man, and an awesome motivation. And you know, I just want to take a moment at the beginning of the show. We got a lot to get to, but to share that gratitude with you. And, and I want to use every channel that I have access to be able to drive support to what you're doing. So if you don't mind, if you could take a couple minutes and just explain, you know, the relationship between Substack Elitist, right?
Yeah.
And St. Jude, and what happens in terms of when people come to your site to get all this great Grizzlies content. Why is it important to go to St. Jude to follow that up?
Yeah, for sure. And again, when I set out to do this Substack, I was like, I just wanted to do something worthwhile, something that means a lot to me. And I also wanted to give people an outlet to read about the Memphis Grizzlies, watch film, however you want to spin it. And I just got the idea of like, what if I just made a Substack and just, if anybody wants to donate or be a subscriber or whatever, there's no strings attached. You donate to St. Jude. It's not like one of those things like, oh, I paid so I get this type of content, or because I subscribe, I'm going to get all this insider information. It's just one of those things, like consider it your monthly or annual donation to St. Jude. And your donation, it goes to stuff like treatment, physical therapy, stuff like that, but also just the stuff that St. Jude's trying to do to make kids feel like they're, you know, still kids. And whether that's no more chemotherapy parties, whether that's proms because these patients, like they're too sick to go to their own high school's prom, so they throw one at St. Jude. Birthday parties, it means a lot to me. Like without St. Jude, I would have never met my wife. So she's been still battling brain cancer for 11 years now. So yeah, and I just try to, in anything I do, I try to see if there's a way I can spin it for St. Jude because of all they've done for our family. And whether that's the Substack, whether that's different events, you know, and that's something I'm still trying to do. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bust my tail to make sure that I can raise enough money for St. Jude as possible so that they can continue their mission of saving children's lives.
It's wonderful that you're here, and it's wonderful that you're doing. I know you have a personal stake with Allie. Allie is beautiful, and her battle continues, and we all pray for her. And it's just a wonderful thing to combine the two together on the platform that you have. Of course, the great Michael Wallace, you sporting the Memphis Prep sweatshirt there. And, of course, Memphis Prep, that's prep school that the Grizzlies started right here in Memphis downtown.
Yeah, Grizzlies Prep, man, and it's one of the only affiliations directly when you talk about a middle school, boys middle school, directly affiliated with an NBA franchise. And that's a partnership there. And our community engagement and foundation helps support Grizzlies Prep. Grizzlies Prep is doing a lot of wonderful things. I, too, have a human investment in it. My son went through Grizzlies Prep, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I'm co-chair of the board now on Grizzlies Prep.
Excellent.
Elliot Perry is on that board with us as
is.
well, too. So a lot of great things going on. And I'm wearing this today because we have a board meeting right before the game tonight. So, we'll be having,
now.
we got approved for a girls extension to the boys school.
Excellent.
So that's going to be coming down the pipe here, and we're looking forward to it, man. So a lot of great things going. Like, we're not just about Grizzlies content. It's content with a purpose.
With a purpose.
And a cause. Content with a cause is like what I like to call it.
That's
man.
right. The CC's in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we couldn't do this without you running point and orchestrating and facilitating everything as a Hall of Famer.
Well, I got
two-time Hall of Famer.
Well, I have to say,
two-time Hall of Famer.
My wife and I had the NBA Now signs in our yard when they were talking about bringing the Grizzlies here back 25 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things when you have major league professional sports in your city, which I always wanted to have as a kid. It's just more than going to the games. The games are great, but they do a whole lot of things for the community, and they really can help bring up and lift up, and that's what we're all about. Now, lifting up's one thing, but the Grizzlies have had a few woes here, some ups and downs in the way that the season has gone so far. It's been a little bit like, yay, great, like, oh, what just happened? And early highs and woes for the Grizzlies. They lead the NBA in bench scoring. Look at that, 51 points per game. They're second in bench three-point percentage at 44.6%. They've been outscored, though, in the third quarter in all 4 games, 149 to 103. And if you watch those games, you would think it's not even that close because Grizzlies jump out to a 70 million point lead, and then all of a sudden it's a 2-point game going in the fourth quarter. The Grizzlies back-to-back versus Nets and Bucks coming up here to end the stretch of 6 games in 9 days, thank goodness, because, you worry about guys getting hurt or running out of gas or whatever. That's a lot of stretch of games in a very short period of time. And Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins had this to say about what's going on with the Grizz right now.
Yeah, no, it's non-existent. Our third quarters have been terrible to start the season, so we got to clean this up and respond. Rather this happen now than during the middle of the season. We know what we stand for defensively. We got to get better. So.
And very, very rarely does Tay speak in very short sound bites. He usually has the word salad going there. But it's been no secret. You can see, wow, hair on fire, first quarter. Second quarter looking great, going in big up at the half. And then third quarter, something happens. I have an opinion, but I'll let you guys first start with you, Paca Flocka.
Yeah. I had asked Taylor about this the other night. It's like, is it one of those things where it's the fatigue of the pace that they're playing at, or is it deeper than that, like a schematic issue? And he said it's the defense, because at the end of the day, if you're not getting stops, you're not going to get out and run. And if you can't get out and run, you're not playing with pace. And if you can't get any stops, then you're allowing the defense to go back and set up. And as much improvements have they made here in this small sample size with their half-court offense, at the end of the day, you're going to get easier scoring opportunities when you're playing with pace and being able to catch the defense off guard instead of just letting them kind of sit and set up their defense. But it's the NBA. It's a game of runs, as we saw the other night with the emphasis on the 3-ball. If you're not defending the 3-point line, a 20-point lead can go away like that. That's what Chicago showed, because, a 20-point lead is you can get within 2 with 6 3-pointers. Like, that's not much in today's NBA. And also, too, in today's NBA, you cannot win basketball games getting outscored by 27 beyond the arc. And that's what happened the other night for Memphis. But, they're doing something right in the first half. Whether playing with pace, playing with physicality, creating defensive events, getting out and running. if they can find a way to kind of maintain that focus and play with that same sort of urgency, physicality, we're talking about a whole different ball club here, you know? And, you know, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but some of it is at the rotations. I know that's been what a lot of people have been saying, but who knows? At the end of the day, if they kind of maintain that togetherness on defense, then they should be able to stop these third quarter woes.
The great Michael Wallace, you know, this is me just looking at it as a fan. I've seen them huffing and puffing there because they're learning this new offense and getting out. Could some of this be they're kind of reverting back to, wow, you know, we were the kind of not really walk it up, but come up and just set up on offense, and do they kind of revert back to the mean sometimes when they get a little bit tired there, you think?
Well, if you go back, we're going to throw last season out, right?
Yeah,
because that was an outlier of a season because of injuries and everything else. Yeah. But the previous 2 seasons when the Grizzlies were 50-plus wins, they were a top 5 pace team then. It's just the pace has even increased in terms of league-wide average since then. So they're used to playing at a certain level of deliberate pace when it comes to offense. I think the issue here is the combination of players are different. Jaren has been out the whole preseason, so he didn't get a chance to work with these guys. Taylor is deeply searching for combinations that work. And even when you go for your starters, like we keep saying, okay, the core, you know, Ja, Jaren, Dez, Marcus, even that core only played 3 home games last season.
Yeah.
So, and they're not on the practice court a lot. So they're figuring a lot of this stuff out. They get hot. The NBA is streaky. And then they come out in the third quarter, and it's almost like, all right, now we got to gear back up for this. And I was in the locker room the other day, and I think you're in the post-game locker room too, right? We go in there after the game, and Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brandon Clark are talking about, man, what do we need to eat at halftime to bring the energy? Like they were in the middle of, hey, do we need to eat more Crustables? Like, I mean, I'm making light of it, but they were searching. They were searching for like, what do we need to do to come out and be a better team in the third quarter? And I think small sample size. Des said it. You know, hey, we're 4 games and 1 week into the season. Let's relax, calm down. We'll figure this thing out.
Yeah, you know, I've seen when the guys come out there, you look at it, and it's like, it's not like the body language changed, but they are grabbing the shorts a little bit more when they're coming out after that first couple of runs. And then things happen, like boom, boom, they hit a couple of threes. Now, don't forget now, Chicago people are, the Bulls. Well, Zach LaVine's been a Grizz killer. And
for sure. He wasn't a preseason.
Yeah.
He played deep into the third quarter of a preseason game that didn't mean anything because he was hot.
Yeah, and he can get hot against anybody, which he was hot. But the deal is they come out and boom, boom, they hit like so many threes all of a sudden, and then they're back in the game, and you're still trying to get your second win going. And, of course, the closer wasn't there. You know, everybody say, well, Ja's not playing. There's going to be nights where he's not going to play. But one thing I have to throw out there, you know, a lot of fans are saying, oh, the rotations, and why didn't Jaren come in the last, 5-6 minutes of that game? Well, they sent him to the scorer's table with 5:50 left, but he couldn't get in until 3:20, the Grizz were up 8, and when he finally did get a chance to come in, when they finally blew the whistle, they were down 3 or 5, or so, they were down 5. And that was the turning point in the game. And it's like, what do you do? How do you stop that, when you don't have your total run stopper and Ja out there, but Jaren had been having a really good performance. You send him to the scorer's table. Do you go ahead and take a foul, or you take that timeout to get him on the floor?
I was just thinking, like, if you're trying to preserve your timeouts, just be like, hey, just maybe a quick foul, make it non-intentional, or just or do what you do people do in college football. You
fake an injury.
You fake the injury to get a timeout. Yeah, I'm totally joking, but I mean, with run stoppers, I've kind of thought just like, why they want to play at this pace, and I think maybe you'll see this as they get used to their pace, but what's wrong with just kind of shifting the gears back a couple notches back and
on a couple
saying,
of possessions?
Hey, we're going to slow this thing down, and we are going to work to find this shot so that maybe we get a couple shots going, we slow the pace of the game down, stops their run, and then you shift back into high gear into the pace that you want to play at. And you have that perfect change of pace option with Zach Edey. Zach Edey only played 13 minutes the other night. Yeah. I don't know if it's the calf thing. I know he is listed as questionable for.
It wasn't a bad 13 minutes. I thought he looked
it was
pretty good.
It was a really solid 13 minutes. Didn't get in foul trouble. I don't know if it was one of those things where Chicago was playing at such a pace and they were spreading the floor, and Nikola Vucevic, he shoots a lot of threes. Like, I don't know if it's a matchup kind of thing where it's like, hey, maybe we should just get Huff out here when we need to rest Jaren because he can kind of stretch out on the perimeter. But even then, Chicago was exploiting Huff as well. So like my only thing to think is like, okay, if you don't have Ja and you're on this like minutes restriction with Jaren, just don't be afraid to just kind of shift back into gear, control the pace of the game, get the game in the mud a little bit. And then once you kind of feel you got a little bit of momentum, then you shift it back into high gear because now you completely zapped Chicago or whoever you're playing. You snapped them out of their rhythm.
Well, I have to say, what the Bulls, what they have, like, are they the number 1 pace team or the number 2? They're
number
up
one.
there.
Yeah,
they're
number 1. After that game,
one.
they were number 1, and the Grizzlies moved to number 2.
Number 2. So they the big difference between Chicago, they were missing shots the first half. They hit everything they threw up in the second. And you know, when you have that situation, that's kind of a tough thing, even when you are. But yeah, I think they expend a lot of energy running around, and everybody's cutting and moving on offense, which is a little bit different. And then like, what energy do you have to play that defense? That's a good point. Just shift it back a little bit. We'll see what they do. There's a lot of time to figure that out. The Grizzlies, I will say this: the last 2 seasons, number 2 in the West, 56 wins, 52 wins. They were hanging around 500 late November, early December. Boom, they figure it out. They catch on. And, you know, you got troops coming back to help up. Speaking of troops coming back to help up, Jaren Jackson Jr. got his first game the other night against Orlando. Looked tremendous. Missed all the preseason. Trying to work himself back in shape, as you said, Pocket. Been on kind of a minutes restriction with the team. And I think we got a graphic. Yeah, there it is. He's averaging 16 points a game so far, 5 rebounds, and a block and a half. Pretty good in 23 and a half minutes in the 2 games he's played this season. The whole preseason he was out with that hamstring strain. Now, in his 7th season with Memphis, he is now the longest tenured Grizzlies player. Can you believe that? That would have been Dylan, but Dylan is off to Houston now. It's Triple J himself. And Jaren talked about what it's been like to try to work himself back into shape as the season has started.
Every game I'm going to build on it. I'm not really going to set a thing on it, but I know I'm just going to be put in position to succeed with how I'm playing, what stints I'm playing, and stuff like that. And then eventually I won't need any of that, like, you know what I mean? I won't need any of that stuff, and I can just play free and I'll be out there.
Jaren, to that end, though, you were a plus 26 in your minutes, and that was the most of anyone, obviously, on the team. So you are having an impact out there. How good is it to have that kind of balance around you guys now, when you can look at the bench and come in and pretty much pick up what you guys are doing?
It was great. I had good. I mean, I was in there with everybody on the team is a good lineup, a good fit for me. I feel like there's no one I think I can't play with. I feel like I mesh well with everybody, and then you're out there when Jay Huff's out there, you're gonna have a great little plus minus. That was great.
All right, he's smiling there, and that's good seeing Jay Huff come out there to help. You got the Grizzlies can go really big on that front line when they have Jaren, Jay Huff, and Santia. That's 3 7-footers out there. But I thought Jaren, you know, when he did play, it's like he showed that nice move on the spin to the bucket. The 3 ball looked good. He looked very smooth and very comfortable, the great Michael Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, Jaren is going to take some time, and you know, I asked him the question, you know, is this going to be a process for him? And you know, he's going to be tough on himself, but he knows that he can have an impact. That game he was coming off of before the Chicago game, he was a plus 26.
Yeah.
And I think he only had 13 or 14 points maybe, but a plus 26 was well above anybody else's plus minus in terms of impact. So he's not just there to impact the game when the ball is in his hand or the block shots at the rim. He just controls so much of what everything else is going on. And his ability to put the ball on the floor, and he's going to find his offensive rhythm. I think that's going to come. But I do think Jaren Jackson Jr., you got to give him some time because he's been out for the last 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. He had that hamstring injury on October 1st, the very first day, the very first moments of the very first training camp practice. And it's just going to take some time for him to work back to that dominant rhythm, but he still can be an impactful player.
One thing I like about it, Paca Flocka, is the fact that Jaren defensively looks like Jaren. It seems like everything seems to work better when he's on the floor on the defensive end.
Yeah, and I think the big part with that is the roster construction now. He's back in his natural element with the big, like Zach Edey, like what we saw when he was playing next to Jonas Valanciunas and Steven Adams. Like, we saw that defensive player of the year type of guy. I mean, we saw what he did to Paolo Banchero.
Yeah.
And, like, Paolo Banchero that very next game dropped 50.
Yeah,
like,
50 and 13, I think, yeah.
He made Paolo look pretty pedestrian out there. Like, because he can swarm all over the perimeter. You put him guarding a 4 and a 5 and a 4.
He can guard a 1.
He's
done that before, yeah.
And he's taking on switches, and the fact that, like the other night, they had him guard Patrick Williams. Patrick Williams isn't going to shoot the lights out or anything. So now he has the liberty to kind of roam a little bit more. And then now you're getting him back with Brandon Clark, and that duo has been awesome defensively since Brandon Clark was drafted in Memphis. And then you have the different looks that you're throwing out there with 3 7-footers with Jaren, Santi, and Huff. Like, they're able to throw a lot of different looks. And I think what he said to Mike is absolutely true. It doesn't matter what lineup it is. Like, Jaren, because of his versatility on both sides of the ball, any lineup with Jaren is going to be an awesome lineup.
Definitely. Yes. I mean, he told it to you. He said it to you. And the way you're smiling, I tend to believe it.
Yeah, no question about it, man. No question about it. And it's just a matter of time before, we get to see, as he called Trip. We get to see Trip find his footing. You know what I mean? And I'll leave it at that.
All right. Now, we will see Trip tonight on the court here at FedEx Forum. We got what's coming up next for the Grizzlies. The Brooklyn Nets come to Memphis tonight. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. They hosted Denver last night and went to overtime. Also, it's the return of Zaire Williams. How about that? You think we'll get the video for him? Talk about that in a minute. Hey, Thomas entered the week as the NBA's 5th leading scorer. Cam Thomas. Did he go to Duke? Is that where Cam Thomas
went? LSU.
LSU. Yep. All right. Yeah, the 5th, 30.7 points a game. So you got to keep an eye on him. And the Grizzlies have won 8 of the past 10 matchups against the Nets. So that bodes well because they are right now in a position where they're just trying to find enough people to go out there and play. They're looking for the lottery already, and we're just starting here.
Yeah, but they're a dangerous team though because I mean, as we saw last night, they put up 72 points in the first half against the Denver Nuggets.
Against the Nuggets.
Right, 72 points.
And Jokic had to have a tremendous game.
He had a historic triple-double. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think he was only the second triple-double in NBA history of 40-plus points, 18 and 16, right, plus. So that's Oscar Robertson territory right there when you talk about how impactful Jokic was in that game. But, Cam Thomas is a guy that can get up and down, right? Dorian Finney-Smith missed a key three-pointer at the end of that game that could have won that game. And Zaire Williams, he had 13 of his 18 in the first half and was dunking and doing things that, we saw rookie Zaire do when he was here as a lottery pick for the Grizzlies. So, yes, this is the second night of a back-to-back for Brooklyn. They got in here early in the morning, on their flight. But they're young, they're spry. From everything I'm hearing, they're going to have some guys that'll be in and out of their lineup. But Ben Simmons should be back tonight from that standpoint. But they may be without Claxton. They're big guys. So it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be up and down, and it's going to be another pace-controllable game by the Grizzlies.
Speaking without Claxton, who is a really good player for the Brooklyn Nets, I know that Zach Edey was listed as questionable for tonight, but he had a really, really good and hard practice. Do you think this is a game they throw him out there and look? Because usually when they list people as questionable, they usually play. You think this is a game they throw him out there and say, look, we're going to throw you, put the hand up, and we're going to give you a chance to work.
That's interesting because when you're dealing with a big guy and a leg in lower extremity, that's a dicey thing, right? He's been downgraded, so he wasn't on the injury report, and he goes on as questionable. That kind of leads me to believe that it may be, hey, what's the better matchup? If he's ready, does he play tonight and miss tomorrow? Does he miss tomorrow and play tonight? We'll see with that. Same thing kind of situation with Ja as well, too. He's questionable. You rarely see a Grizzlies player go questionable and then not end up playing. But that's what Ja did. He was questionable Monday and didn't play. So these are truly game-time decisions, and we'll see in I guess about 3-4 hours.
Yeah, I think I'd rather see him play tonight than try to go up against Giannis because Giannis got speed and everything else. But, we'll see what the coaching staff does. And speaking of questions, if we're questioning whether anybody will play, BLJ, the greatest hype man in all the NBA, has this week's question of the week on GrizzBeat. What is it, BLJ?
Hype man NBA BLJ here with Isaiah. Man, we've been talking back and forth, got that chemistry. What's the question you got?
Who's going to be the leader of team chemistry this season?
Who will be the leader of team chemistry for the Memphis Grizzlies? Keep us clanging and banging and gritting and grinding this season. Back to the studio. Holla!
Holla, yeah. Who will be the Grizzlies' leader in team chemistry? Paka Flocka, your answer.
I think you can go one of two ways. For one, I think we were talking about from a vibe standpoint, it's Ja. Just because there's a different sort of
it's a different team when he's on the field.
Energy and swagger when he's on the floor. And when he's going and he's getting hot, there's not many better teams in the NBA or many players better in the NBA than the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant. But I think from a leader standpoint, it's Desmond Bane. I mean, we saw Desmond Bane. I want to say I read it from one of our beat writers. I can't remember if it was DeMichael Cole, the commercial appeal, or Drew Hill for Daily Memphian, but Dez was the guy that was saying, "Hey, y'all come to Dallas, come work out with me. Come stay at my lake house, come work out with me." I guess he had Jaren, Ja, Edie, Gigi all come down there. They're all getting runs, and I'm just like, when I'm thinking, who is the leader of this Memphis Grizzlies team? Obviously, they want it to be Dez, Ja, Jaren, but it's Dez to me, just from a leadership standpoint, keeping the team together and holding people accountable. I really think it's Desmond Bane who's taken a tremendous leap in that category ever since the Grizzlies front office and coaching staff had challenged those three guys to take on leadership roles after their playoff exit in 2023.
Well, he's definitely got the fattest bank on the team. And, you think Ja, but, Ja's got some things he still has to get away from his past to make sure that he can go ahead and have people surround him with that label. What do you think, the great Michael Wallace?
You know what? That's a great question, and I'm glad, Parker kind of layered it out, because I do think it's a layered question. And shout out to BLJ and my man for asking a question this week. It really forced us to think, because I say, bar none, when it's on the court, this team is the upside of this team with Ja on the court just takes it to a completely different level.
Another level.
So when you talk about chemistry in terms of reaching your peak, you need Ja. No matter, Ja didn't play against Chicago. Had Ja played against Chicago, I think the Grizzlies beat the Bulls.
Yeah.
Even with the Bulls coming back,
you got that closer
right? You got
on
a
the
closer
floor.
in that
they
situation.
know it, you know it, everybody
Absolutely.
in the building
He's
knows
the
it.
one guy you cannot defend. There's no defense for Ja Morant when it comes to that. And he also activates everybody else, right? Think about it. Like, no one really knew who J Huff was until he started catching reverse lobs from Ja.
Correct.
And Ja activates J Huff. Secondly, in terms of leadership, I agree. It's become so clear now that Desmond Bane is the maturation chief of this team. He's the leader when it comes to how they think, what needs to be said, who's the stand-up guy, who do you come to get the real pulse of what really is going on or what should be going on. He's the accountability guy. So I think that's the case there. And then Jaren, obviously, for me, because he's been here, Jaren's quality, and I know we got to get the break, but Jaren's quality, one of his best traits is that he's okay with letting other people take a lead in their own area. He doesn't have to come in and say, I've been here longer than anybody else. This is my team.
It's my team.
He can still be Jaren Jackson Jr. while allowing Ja to be Ja and Dez to be Dez. And I think there's a quality in that.
Yeah, and I'll just say this. Something about it, man. Out of the core three, Dez is the first one to get married. And so something about that, man, when you take that step down the aisle, you were ready for commitment. And I think he's committed. He got the big contract, and I think he's ready to help lead this team to heights that hopefully we have not seen here. And the heights have been pretty high here lately. We're going to take this break on GrizzBeat right now. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on around the NBA, including what's going down in, Wade County, South Florida. We'll tell you all about that when we come back on GrizzBeat.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
At Southland Casino Hotel, it's time to work hard, play hard with our $500,000 giveaway. Earn entries October through November 9th and take home free play and amazing prizes on select Saturdays, including a big rig. Stay connected on social media for weekly drawing clues. Join us November 9th for the grand finale drawing where you could drive off in a four-wheeler, side-by-side, or big rig. Work hard and play harder at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
We have not talked to you since we got the big fella that's going to go next to you.
What has impressed you about him, though? Just being on the same court with him, because you've watched him a lot in college. You got to see him. We got to see him very, very little in summer league.
Very quick twitch, like decision making. Yeah. No real fear of anything. Like very vocal, able to talk through the game. But I mean, like, dude won Player of the Year twice. Like,
I know.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Hey, Grizz fans, your power is in your voice, so make your voice heard. The federal general election is November 5th, and that's everybody, all city, count, state, anyway. Get ready and look up your precinct today at grizzlies.com/GrizzVotes. Whether it's city, county, state, or the national election, voting is your chance to stand up for the issues you care about. So, take some time and educate yourself on the process. Early voting, it's going on right now, and it goes through October 31st. You can get in there early, get your ballot cast, or if you wait till November 5th, that's the last day you can do it. Make sure you vote. Get it out there. Michael Wallace.
Welcome back to GrizzBeat for Jarvis Greer, Parker Fleming. I'm Michael Wallace, and this is our NBA segment of the show. One of the things that we do is blitz through some of the NBA's top storylines. And one of the storylines that just keeps on giving is what the Miami Heat did to help commemorate Dwayne Wade's brilliant career down in Miami by unveiling a statue in front of the Kaseya Center, what I used to know as American Airlines Arena.
American Airlines Arena.
But the Kaseya Center. And here's what the Miami Heat did. This was the statue unveiling in Wade County. And there's some controversy around, you know, the statue unveiling. Obviously, it's a tremendous statue, but the top and the face is what people are criticizing right now. And Dwayne Wade said, look, he's cool with it. He took over some elements of the approval, and now he had this to say about what that statue means to him, despite some of the criticism that he got for the design.
The magnitude, probably when I had to pick my statue moment. I think that's when I realized the magnitude of that moment. I didn't know at that moment that was going to be a statue, and I didn't know that was going to be the moment. But what I did know is I just hit a game winner versus my hometown team, the Chicago Bulls. I did know that I was a kid that always wanted to jump on the scores table because I saw some of my favorite do it. And so I just did that. And I just said whatever came to mind, and what came to mind was, this is my house. And so when I had to sit and decide what that moment was going to be that was stitched in stone forever, it was that moment on March 9th, 2009. Did I have 48 or 50 in that game? Which one? 48. I fell short of 50. I missed some free throws. I think you just play, and you just do. And in the midst of it, you would be able to experience some cool things and grab some cool things along the way, but you don't know what moment is going to be that moment that would be a stitch in everybody's mind, and that would be the moment for me. But I definitely remember just feeling, man, just like I was happy. I'm just like a little kid, like when it's your birthday and everybody's there to celebrate you because of the magnitude of it. I missed the layup in that game to send us in overtime. I could have won it before that. But true Wade fashion had to be a little bit more dramatic. And it was just a beautiful ending. So I'm glad that that's the moment. You know, that moment meant so much to me that it's hard for me to even express what it meant doing that against my hometown team. And being able to jump on that scores table. And every time I look at those photos, I get to see someone different in the crowd and understand that, man, damn, they had a great night that night. Boy, I'm sure the small businesses in Miami that night went crazy. It's a beautiful night that we've all experienced together. And so I'm glad that we can set that moment in stone.
Well, I can tell you this much. As a guy who was there that night,
yeah,
I knew exactly the moment I saw the statue. I remember the moment. It's actually my birthday, March 9th, the game that they played against the Bulls that night.
Okay.
And I remember my wife at the time was upset because I had to work on the night of the birthday.
Yeah.
But anyway, when he did it, and he jumped on it wasn't the scorer's table, it was the owner's table.
Oh.
He went on the other side. The owner of the Miami Heat, Mickey Arison, and the Arison family have a courtside table that they sit at.
Of course they do.
And he jumped up on that table and was like, this is my house. And so when I saw the statue, I understood exactly what they were going for. I understood the moment. I remembered the moment. And I found myself defending some of the criticism, because I felt like, man, we're in a society now where anything can be criticized, and people are just going to, yes, the sculpture of the face doesn't capture his image, but everything else about the statue was perfect, I thought. And even with the sculpture, man, I just, again, sometimes, man, you don't just want to rain on somebody else's parade. His family, his sons, his fans are looking at this and saying this is a great moment. And the trollers out there on social media are just killing him. And not even trollers anymore. It's like, you know, network shows and those kind of people. At some point, take a step back and be like, man, look, I've never done anything in my life that I'm ever going to get anything for. And you're teeing off on a guy, you know, because the statue came out a little bit less than flattering to a certain degree. As someone who has a street named after him, or 3, in the city of Memphis, Jarvis, from that standpoint, what was your reaction to the Dwayne Wade statue? And was it fair or not fair or foul, some of the criticism of that statue?
I think it's foul, the criticism, because when you listen to Dwayne Wade himself talk about it, he puts it into the context of the moment, and that's what it looked like, and that's what he's talking about more what it felt like. Whatever it looked like, that's what it felt like. And it all came out. You know, maybe he could have waited like and been in the Grizzlies uniform the other night and hit the game winner against the Bulls. That would have been great. But no, he hit that, and he remembers. It's funny how these guys can remember exactly how many points they had. Oh, I missed 2 free throws. They would have won. You know, but it means so much to him, and he's good with it. He's saying this is what the feeling was, and this is the emotion that he gets from that statue. So hey, I'm good with it, man. You know, it may look like, you know, Halloween to me, but you know, it's fine to him. And you know, it could be Jason up there on top of the statue. As long they got the win, and he is enshrined forever. And I miss American Airlines Arena, and that's the first place where I've seen a yacht with a helicopter on it,
top of,
and another smaller boat attached to it, right there, pulling up. That place, South Beach, is incredible, man. And you were down there. I know you soaked some of that up. Paca Flocka, when you gonna get a chance to do that?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's the vodka king, too. The guy that's in charge of one of the biggest vodka companies has his yacht with a helicopter, helipad, and another boat attached to it, man.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that, you know,
the yacht's so big, he got another boat with it, man. And it's not a dinghy, man. It's a boat.
That's what I'm saying. It's a legitimate, beautiful place, though.
Yeah.
Parker, going back to Dwayne Wade, obviously his legacy speaks for itself. This comes in the same week where Pat Riley had a court dedicated to him inside the arena. Dwayne Wade gets the statue outside of the arena. Just what were your thoughts when you saw this story unfold?
Yeah, I will say the Pat Riley one, that's news to me. I did not know that. That's awesome to hear. But I mean, you know,
that'll be on your Substack.
Yeah, for sure. But no, it's one of those things that I feel like any athlete, any coach, any front office member, that's the kind of impact they ultimately want to make. Like, obviously, they're not thinking, oh, I want to do this, so I get a statue for me, or like a court. When they set out and they represent a franchise, so for Dwayne Wade, Pat Riley, that's for the Miami Heat. They're thinking, how can I impact this team and make it worthwhile? How do I impact this team and get it to the point where it's not just winning a championship, but winning championships? And that's what those guys did. They built a legacy. That's what everybody wants to do when they get into the league.
That's when Heat culture really started to bubble up.
They want to build a legacy. And the fact that right there is kind of cultivates and encompasses their legacy. Criticism aside, whatever you think about what it looks like, at the end of the day, it's a legacy that not many players in this league will ever get to feel.
Yeah.
And that's worthwhile, and that's where the backlash is a little foul, just because you don't see those kind of players all the time.
Yeah.
No,
and you talk about legacy. Legacies are legacies and statues. Like this guy, the next guy's legacy and statue is going to be all over the league. LeBron James just put out a story and a tweet there where he talked about wanting to play at age 40 all 82 games. Now, I think there's there's a subtext to this, and as LeBron said right here with the NBA on ESPN, I plan on playing every game. I find it hard to believe that a modern athlete in this age, even one as well-conditioned as LeBron James, will put himself in position to play all 82. I don't think front offices are going to put key players like that in position to play 82. But I think I know where LeBron's coming from. Michael Jordan, in his last season with the Washington Wizards, played all 82 games at age 39.
There's always a subplot.
I don't know if there's a subplot. You spoke about it, Jarvis. I mean, is this something that LeBron should even achieve or try to achieve? Or do you think it's realistic at this stage for him to try to do it?
Well, I think you're wondering, how are the Lakers going to be toward the end of the season? Are they going to be, hovering around the play-in? Are they going to be in the playoffs? Are they going to be out? And say he's got, a hangnail, big toe problem or something other like that. And he's got to be out there if you're going to have any success in the playoffs. It's just amazing that he's still playing at the level that he's playing.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Jordan was really good when he was with the Wizards. We saw him in the pyramid that one year that he came in and played with Washington. There were so many light bulbs going off, and that was Michael Jordan. It wasn't the Michael Jordan with the Chicago Bulls, but it was still Michael Jordan. This dude, LeBron, we saw him over in Paris in the Olympics. He's doing stuff. He's guarding Jokic. He's guarding the guards. He's doing all kind of stuff, and being a terror and a threat at every level at his age. So he can do whatever he wants to do, and if he wills himself to do it, goodness knows he takes care of his body well enough.
Yeah.
If he wills himself to do it, and I don't know, if they want to trade medical staffs with the Grizzlies and the Lakers or something, because the Grizzlies are now, you don't feel good, you're going to sit. But, LeBron is just he's a different beast. And I'll leave it at that.
Definitely. He's definitely a different beast. And I think if he wants to do it, he'll do it. These games have to be relevant. But I think he's always going to listen to his body, which is what he's done for 22 seasons now.
Did he say, I will play every two, or I want to play
He probably said, I want to play every. And he goes about it as if, hey, if I'm healthy, I want to show up for my team. So if he's not injured, I think he's going to try to push it. We'll see where it goes from there. 1 week of the NBA schedule is in the books. Now we go to our week 2 NBA GrizzBeat power poll right here. And I'm going to say it. Look, I'm going to take claim for it. This is something I put together every week. And I make these guys have to defend it. But I'm going Celtics, Thunder, Cavaliers, as you see up there, still undefeated right now. Suns, off to a nice start. They beat the Lakers the other night, handed the Lakers their first loss. Dallas had another victory, so they're 3-1. They're strong right now. Orlando bounced back from their loss to the Grizzlies and got 50 from Paolo Banchero and played really well. The Timberwolves, Warriors rounded out, and the Miami Heat. That's the top 10 I see as of right now after week 1. Parker, do you have any problems with anything I ranked right there? Am I missing anyone? Is someone ranked too high, too low? And we'll leave it up there as you give us your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. I think that one of the only things is maybe that bottom, like 8 to 10, it's going to be very fluid. The Timberwolves thing, it's definitely going to be something to monitor because they're playing Anthony Edwards a lot of minutes. They've already I want to say they lost last night.
They
right?
did.
They lost last
to
night,
Golden State.
and then they lost to the Lakers. And they're still trying to figure that. They made not just a late trade, but a late seismic trade. Trading Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. And that doesn't take just training camp to iron out. But I got to say, the Lakers have been awesome. And JJ Redick has been an awesome coach, really kind of figured out a way to not just emphasize Anthony Davis, but he's emphasizing Austin Reeves. He's trying to get Dalton Kennett involved. He's getting Jackson Hayes rolling to the rim. And also you look at some of these clips of some of these plays that show up, it's actually quite ironic that a lot of these are like Dan Hurley influenced.
Yeah.
And they targeted Dan Hurley. And
did.
JJ has talked with Dan Hurley a lot on his podcast and stuff, and they're looking good, obviously.
Are you saying Dan Hurley is the de facto coach since they were trying to get him to come into the league?
I guess there's some influence there. But no, and then 1 and 2, you didn't miss. The Thunder and the Celtics look like they're in a league of their own right now. They're playing unbelievable basketball right now. So I don't really have any problems with your list, Mike.
Now, I know Jarvis is always going to have a problem with any list that doesn't have the Memphis
include
Grizzlies
the
on it. But you have to understand that I have to be as objective as possible when looking at the entire league.
You can be objective. I'm a season ticket holder. So
you're a season ticket holder. I'm an employee.
Yeah,
so
that's
right. But Jarvis, what would you say as we go back to the list real quick? I want to give you a cheat sheet. Look at the list and then tell me where I have it wrong and or not where I have it wrong, but how would you have it differently?
I don't know about the Warriors. Seth Curry is not going to do a LeBron James and tweet out I'm playing all 82. He's already missed a game or two already, and they're going to sit him if he needs it. He knows his body, but he's not the specimen that nobody's the specimen that LeBron James is. So I don't know if the Warriors will be able to keep that up. I'm really kind of surprised at how well the Suns are playing right now. And I think I said right now because we still got some time to go. And KD, I think that he played the most games he's played in a while last year. I don't know how long he can keep it up. He has been fabulous here for that team early in the season. It's very, very early in the season. The Cavs are a good squad. The Thunder, I don't know. I just don't like Oklahoma City because they think they're the Grizzlies when they try to do their little, post-game interviews.
Yeah.
The Celtics are just the Celtics. They look like the defending champs. Mavs, I think, may move up depending on how it goes as the season goes along. But I think you got it pretty good right now. I think the Grizzlies did a good job in catching the Magic when they did. And I think that, we may see the Magic. Wouldn't that be something in June if we see something like that?
I love it. I'd be here for it.
But that would be totally awesome, I think. But no, I think the Celtics are clearly the
Head
best.
and shoulders.
They're the bell cow right now.
Yeah. Celtics and Oklahoma City right at the top. Again, that's just based on the first week. It may be shuffled up next week. But the way those two teams are playing, they're just off to a phenomenal start. And a lot of people see those two meeting in the NBA Finals in June. Hopefully the Grizzlies, our Grizzlies, can disrupt that matchup right there. And when we come back, one more segment left of GrizzBeat, and we're going to show you and take you behind the scenes of how the Grizzlies got ready for the 24-25 NBA season with our latest edition of Beyond Grit when we come back to GrizzBeat.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Deadpool and Wolverine, streaming November 12th on Disney+.
That's the whole package right there.
It's the biggest R-rated film of all time.
Come again?
It's action-packed.
Us? A team? Next level.
Glorious fun. Marvel's biggest triumph.
This is what I'm talking about.
Hilarious.
Something funny, bub.
And verified hot on Rotten Tomatoes.
You really are God's perfect idiot, aren't you?
Deadpool and Wolverine, streaming November 12th on Disney+.
One of the things I really do like about the history of the Memphis Grizzlies is that we have people who have moved here and stayed here. I like how much some of those guys have not only made millions here and won games here, but spent real time here and raised children here.
Yes.
And become a real part of the community.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Grizz fans, made by Grizz fans for Grizz fans. 191 Collabs, presented by Hennessy, is back and celebrating Memphis designers and showcasing our city's unique voice and vibe through hyper-local Grizz gear. You're looking at some of it right there. Pretty cool, huh? Shop the It All Comes Together collection by Good Hippie on Wednesday, November 6th, when the Grizzlies take on the Los Angeles Lakers and the aforementioned LeBron James. These limited edition threads are only available in FedEx form on game night starting at 5:30 p.m. Get there early. Buy your tickets today for access at Ticketmaster.com or visit Grizzlies.com/191collabs for more info. Man, I got to give me one of those lids, man. All that stuff, Luke Scott. I know you got some in your closet, right? The great Michael Waller.
Hey, the collaborators and the designers that put these things together when we do our 191 collabs, just phenomenal, talented young people, man, and they're all from here, and that's a good spotlight for them. I'm looking forward to seeing what their collection is this year.
Oh, yeah, you can get that gear when you come in early for the games November 6th. Now let's take a look at what the week ahead looks like for the Memphis Grizzlies. They got the Brooklyn Nets coming in town tonight. Then on Thursday, it's a back-to-back. Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks will be here. Then it's on the road for 2 at Philadelphia on Saturday and at Brooklyn again on Monday. The hits just keep on coming, but we got the Brooklyn Nets in town tonight. What do you look at for out of that game?
Hey, you got 2 against the Nets, right? You got to at least get those 2 wins. That's a team that's young and trending towards the lottery.
Hey, Z's back, right?
Yeah. So and Zaire Williams is with that team. He was a former Grizzlies lottery pick just a handful of years ago. But you got to take care, book in that where we just showed up there. If you can book in that, get those 2 wins, and then see what you can do with Milwaukee on the second night of a back-to-back, and then Philly, depending on whether Joel Embiid is going to be there or not. That's kind of up in the air, but. It's these games just keep coming. You play 6 games in 9 nights to open the season. Then you transition to 5 and 8 nights after that. So the hits are just right, like you said, they just keep on coming.
Bada boom, bada boom. They keep coming. I look for, Brooklyn, who knows what's going to happen, who knows going to play for the Grizzlies, but, the Grizzlies are favored in the game. We'll see how that plays out. Speaking of Milwaukee, the Bucks, it's like, well, the Grizzlies have done pretty well against them, no matter what lineup they've thrown out there. So that could be a really good game here. And the games up in Philadelphia have been awesome between the Grizz and the Sixers. So, this could be the beginning of a good run for the Grizzlies. We'll see. But how did this run get started? How have we gotten to this point where 4 games in the season, Grizz are 2-2, working on a new offense, trying to get things together, got some new players in. They had a lot of hard work in the preseason, in training camp, and that is the subject of this edition of Beyond the Grid, as we go behind the scenes with a look at how it all got started for this season.
Here we go, half court, here we go.
Same intensity that we had in camp, we're still in it right now. We're going to do our principles warm-up. I want you guys ripping right out of the gate. Not just focus on offense, focus on defense, transition defense, shell rotations, building out to get that roll change, then go play fast and together like we've been doing the last 3 days.
Training camp has been probably one of the hardest that we've had, in my 6 years now. So this preseason journey, only 3 weeks is going to, really set the foundation for this upcoming season.
Get to it.
I feel like this is like our year where we go from like being the young guys to a little more experience. We've had our good days, we've had our not so good days, and I think it's really helped us shape our mentality headed into this season. Like, we're always excited, everybody's excited this time of year, but it's just a different focus and edge with the way we're preparing.
Push it. Yes, sir. Shift, cover, good.
Good on-ball defense.
Yes, sir. The layup, obviously we don't have man to transit, but if you trail in the play and you can see, you point, you can tell trying to take mine.
And then I'll go find the shooter.
Side, whichever, you know what I'm saying? And that's why we a team.
Remember, pick and rolls to create an advantage. Doesn't mean we have to score off of every single time. Create a 2-on-1. Going downhill.
I'm really excited about some things that we're going to be doing differently offensively for us, the pace at which we're playing.
What's our first way to create an advantage? Running. Because what are the 3 things that we've been talking about? We've been talking about cutting, driving, and our ball screens. But the first advantage is found with our pace, our roll change.
This year I would say preseason is all about doing more. It's a whole new game plan, a whole new approach, and it just requires you to do more. So the opponent can have to work harder.
Good square! Right! Nothing. Good square! Good job! Go! Hey, boy. Good run, Big Zach.
Hey, next winning play mentality. Next winning play mentality, that's what you do. Good practice.
Open practice for us is always one of those very exciting annual traditions.
It's our first time putting our stuff on and having people in the building. This will be my first time bouncing a ball on the forum court, and I don't know how long. I'm really excited and see some family, some friends, the Grizz community, and have basketball bring us together. It's a special time of year.
Feel good to be back in the FedEx. Feel good to be back in there, man. The smell, a good, clean basketball floor, you know what I mean? Go, Jalen! This is so entertaining. What's next?
I think it's the dance.
Can we lead the rookie dance off?
Oh yeah, for sure. Good to see you too.
Good to see you, bro.
What you hit last year? They had that time. I was like this though. I just stood in one spot. I was scared.
Was you nervous?
So I understand they feeling. So last year it was just me by myself. I didn't do a very good job, and the crowd let me know. Yeah. Hey, like, Want to thank everybody for coming out, showing the support that you have for us, and also the support for the community. Thank y'all for rocking with us, and we're going to try to put on a show for y'all.
I'm going to challenge you guys, okay? We want to play this style of basketball for not the last 42 minutes of the game. We don't want to ease into the game. So I'm going to challenge you guys. How are you going to be ready so the moment that we get up here and we tip off, we are on both sides of the floor, and we don't have let up.
Our fans could not wait for the Grizzlies to be back in action in FedEx Forum. This is such an amazing environment that brings the whole city together.
I think it's going to be loud. I love opening night, who doesn't? But I think it's going to be crazy.
I think the level of excitement is at a different level this year. The excitement about what this team is capable of.
I tell you what, that opening night that crowd was definitely lit, and the team lived up to it with the big win over the Magic in here. And it was still a great night on the second game coming back. Just did not get the win, but the way they start out, if they could just keep that pace going, Michael Wallace. Hey, one thing I got to say about the video that you saw there, Tay-Tay, man, he lost some weight too. It looked like he's trying to get himself in shape to run up and down the floor with the boys.
Oh yeah, no question about it. He talked to that, and that was your question. You asked him, and he talked about preparing for this season with a new level of mindfulness, with fasting, intermittent fasting, conditioning, and all of those kind of things. But when you see that video, shout out to Michael Blevins and our fantastic video team down there, creative team in the video department, because they never disappoint. I could have watched 20 more minutes of that when you talk about the storylines behind what makes this team what it is. You can see the teaching, you can see the accountability, you can see the communication, and all of that comes out when the Grizzlies are preparing. And they have a game tonight, so that's the same kind of mentality and structure that went into preparation for tonight's game, coming off of a little bit of a bitter taste from Monday's loss to the Chicago Bulls. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Grizzlies have tonight, Jarvis.
You know, one thing I really liked about that video was in practice when Ja and Zach Edey, you couldn't see the top of Zach Edey because he's so, but Ja was giving him instruction and said, look, when you see that, you're trailing the play, you can either direct or you can be there trailer. I'm going to hit you with, and that's the great thing about when you get your players engaged with each other and being engaged on and off the court, like GG Jackson with Yuki there at the end, or saying that he wasn't hitting the Dougie quite right on his rookie season, which he didn't. He was right, and the crowd did let him know. But I think the players do feed off this Memphis energy when they get inside the grindhouse.
No, they do. And I'm glad you mentioned GG Jackson, because he's has such an infectious personality. I can't wait for him to be able to finally shed that walking boot and to be able to get on the floor and start playing basketball.
He keeps them running around in practice with that thing.
He does, man. He's done more in a walking boot than I've ever seen anyone who's supposed to be immobilized in the walking boot, right, from that standpoint. But, things are trending for him to be back. He gave an update on the recent podcast and said, first week of December and to the middle of December is looking like when he's going to trend towards being able to be back. Vince Williams Jr., real quick update. The Grizzlies are going to get some extra imaging, MRI, for an update to update his status. The results could come back as early as tonight. Taylor Jenkins probably will be asked about Vince Williams Jr. tonight to see what his next steps are. Luke Kennard returned to practice. He's back on the practice court this week.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, we'll see as he ramps up his conditioning over the next couple of games and couple of days now, how he's trending towards coming back from that standpoint. And then, Cam Spencer is another guy. Hopefully, that high ankle sprain, that ankle issue is getting better. We'll see where it is. And these Grizzlies can finally get at least close to being healthy. Ja Morant is a game time decision tonight with the thigh soreness. The big fella, Zach Edey, has a calf strain, not a calf strain, but some calf soreness. We'll see what that is for his questionable. He's questionable tonight. And then not Jake LaRavia, but John Conchar should be working his way back. He had a foot issue, but I think he's trending back towards being available pretty soon too. So I know that was a lot, but the Grizzlies have a lot to look forward to, especially this back-to-back set. Get out here and come see these guys, man. It's early in the season. The excitement is in the building, and you're going to see a show when the Grizzlies hit the court.
Yeah, you're right about that. The last thing I'll say about it, the Grizzlies have some of the best players on the planet to start with, but the way that the Claw crew and the rest of the guys that put on a show behind the scenes and out there at the arena, it's a lot of fun to go to Grizz games. If you get a chance to come on out, because you will be entertained. I want to thank Paka Flocka Parker Fleming and his Grizzly Substack for joining us here today. He couldn't be here for the last segment. He had another opportunity he had to go to, but we appreciate him being here. And also the great Michael Wallace, the guru of Grind City Media, as always, with your great knowledge. We appreciate you. And, of course, we will see you tonight at 7 o'clock at the Grindhouse FedEx Forum when the Grizzlies host the Brooklyn Nets. We'll be back next Wednesday, 2 o'clock, right here on Grind City Media, 2 p.m. for another edition of GrizzBeat. See you then, everybody.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of GrizzBeat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.